Hey crafters, it's Janet with Crafting It Up, coming at you today with some of my Make It Fall series of DIYs. I've made a few pumpkin things and a harvest sign and a really cute shadow box that I'm going to share with you. And I'm going to go through and show you a lot of the different things that I did use in this. Unfortunately, some of my video would not pull from iCloud. I have not been able to figure out why, even on the device that I used to record on. So you might have to ignore some of the things in the background because I didn't use all this in this video. But I used this Welcome Friends sign and one of these decor signs that's like a chalkboard. Both were from the Dollar Tree. And then of course these little hanging signs I believe were in the spring section for the Target dollar spot, and I think they were meant to go for like a wedding party. But they were $3, so each little wooden sign is technically $1. I thought that was a really good deal, and I just love those. I do end up using a couple of the actually brown burlap leaves, some of the scatters and fillers from Hobby Lobby, this fall embossed hot buy paper pad. All these pieces inside of it are embossed, and they're really pretty fall kind of neutral type colors in here. And I'm going to use the like cream colored one with some of the words that are on it. And you'll see that when I end up using it. The other hot buy paper pad I also used was out of Autumn Dream. And that's what that paper pad looks like. There's a bunch of pretty papers in there, but I'm going to end up using this. Autumn shows us how beautiful it is to let things go. Now this is like a little frame from the Dollar Tree. It says Aim to Inspire. They also have one that says I Need Coffee, and I'm actually going to use two of those and put them together. This is a pick, Simply Fall. I'm not quite sure. This one may have come from AC Moore. I can't remember where I got that one from. And then these other ones, this is Trey Jolie. It is paper out of my stash that I have had for years. And this one's a My Mind's Eye. And I'm trying to use up some of the things that I do have in my stash, as well as, of course, add different things to it. These others are Chatterbox papers. They're called scrapbook walls, and I guess they were like what you would put on your walls as wallpaper. But had some really pretty prints, and I'm just trying to use them up. I apologize if you wouldn't be able to find these if you wanted to recreate it exactly, but hopefully I just give you ideas of what you could use, you know, and to shop your own stash and use those as well. Now I have some of these little flowers. They are from the Dollar Tree. There's mini mums. I'm going to use some of those as well. I don't end up using these clip-on maple leaves, but they're really pretty. You could use those with the harvest sign. And then these are some succulents from Hobby Lobby, and they were in the fall selection. Just really pretty neutral colors. And then this, of course, was from the Dollar Tree Halloween section. It's a little cat, and I almost didn't include her, but I do add some things to her that you could take off and still use her for, you know, up to Thanksgiving. And of course, these little metal word signs were from the Dollar Tree. This little bunch of leaves with beads is from Hobby Lobby. And then the first thing that I'm going to make is this little harvest sign out of the Target dollar spot wood pieces. And then this is a Chatterbox holiday plaid piece of paper. And I'm just going to trace it out with a pencil and cut around it just with my scissors. And then I'm going to take these foam brushes and Mod Podge and attach it to that piece of wood. So I just cut those apart because I'm going to use a different method of hanging it. And of course, you know, when you trace it outside like this, it's always going to end up being just a little bit larger. So I'll use like either a sanding block, or I'm going to actually use a little tool that I bought at Tuesday Morning that will sand it as well. But you can get sanding blocks at the Dollar Tree as well in the automotive section for just $1. And they work really well too, because I'm going to end up using a sanding block on the pumpkins later. I think that this other little sander worked well on this one just because it was thin scrapbook paper. But if it's cardstock, then you really need like a sanding block. But I just smoothed that down. And I even used the scissors some to cut away some of that excess because it's just so much. And just a little bit of Mod Podge on the tip there. And this is the little tool. I can't even remember what it's called. But even Michael's had some of the tips on clearance, so I bought a few of them, and I thought, well, that would give it a little bit extra life if I can't find the refills for it later. I think I got it for just like a couple bucks. And of course, always go downwards. If you don't wait for it to dry, it will pull it up. And even if it is dry, sometimes it will pull it up, you know, when you go to sand like that. So you always want to do it in the downward motion. And then the little harvest sign I thought just didn't look dark enough, so I used this espresso chalk paint and one of the foam brushes and go over it as well. And I ended up having to paint it twice just so that none of that galvanized part showed through. But I thought it looked a lot nicer, or stood out more by painting that. And then where the little holes are, I just take one of my little pokey tools and push it through and round it in there. These are the scatters and fillers from Hobby Lobby. And I just take several out of the bag and kind of throw them down on there. And then I hot glued those on where I liked them at. And this, it's in the ribbon section at Joann's. I tied it with the knots to the back, but I did end up changing that at the end because it didn't set right on the wall. Yeah, I didn't think of that beforehand. And then I do add some of the little burlap leaves to the back as well. And I thought that made it look really cute. You could use just about anything, of course. There's this little squiggly piece I kind of pull out and manipulate some so it kind of sticks out. And I attach that to the sign as well. And I thought this came out super cute. I would love to even hang another one below it and maybe go in the opposite direction. So I may try that. If you didn't hang anything on top too, you could even decorate both sides. Now here's the little hat clip. It came from the Dollar Tree. You got a pack of 3. I think it was purple, orange, and maybe green. I can't remember, but it just clips on. So after Halloween, of course, you can just unclip the hat, and he's going to have fall flowers under him anyway, so, you know, he could stay up until Thanksgiving. I really like these little kitty cat shadows. And this is some Offray ribbon. I actually got this at Walmart, and I'm going to tie him a little bow to put around his neck. And to me, it looks like a fall purple. So I figure it'll match well to that orange that I'm going to use in those little, that little flower pick from Hobby Lobby. And I kind of fuss with the bow a little just to make it feel like I have it just the right size. And then I hot glued the flowers on there, and he's done. And you almost need a little bit of weight on him, because if you hang him up, he kind of does hang to the side. Now this little welcome friend sign, I end up taking a brush and putting in some acetone just to kind of loosen it up. And I'm going to do the same thing with that flower. And this is a little bottle that I got from the Dollar Tree a long time ago. It's in gray. I'm going to pull the little raffia off and then work my way of getting that little sunflower off, because I end up using this. I like that little piece. And then I use that neutral color embossed cardstock out of the Hot Buy paper pad. And this is some pumice stone distress ink. And I'm just going to take this blending tool over top of it just so that the words stand out just a little bit more than what they would. In person you could see them fine, but even on camera this really helps. You know, the words kind of stand out just a little bit more. And I start on the outer edge and work my way in. And it adds just a little bit of color, but not too much. And there's what it looked like when I was done. And then I'm going to take that Mod Podge over the back part of that pumpkin and attach that piece of paper to it. And I give it a really generous amount because this is cardstock. It's a lot thicker. And because my distress ink, that cardstock was a little bit shiny, I didn't want it to come off onto my hands. And then, of course, the downward motion to get the excess off. And this is where I use actually a better sanding block because it was really thick. Now for this one, I did pull off the raffia bow as well. And then I'm going to flip it over because I want that design on the front part. And I want to make sure that my handle goes the right way. And I cut that out with scissors as well. I'm going to attach that on there. And I kind of like the Mod Podge because you kind of have a few seconds to work with it before you smush it down. Now I'm going to take the Gathered Twigs Distress Ink by Tim Holtz, and I'm going to go right around the edges and just give this a little bit more definition, because I'm going to put these pumpkins kind of right close up to each other. And I end up going ahead and getting a little distress tool instead of doing it from the pad to the paper, the ink pad to the paper. If I get a little heavy, I just smoothed it out. And I'm going to end up hot gluing these to the bottom, but I even put a little bit of foam tape in between to give them some room. And I decide I really like that flower pick right in the center of them. I'm going to add some of the little fillers to it. And I try to decide, they say you should do things in threes, but sometimes threes just don't look right. I don't know how y'all feel about that. And I'm kind of just playing around and deciding what flowers that I want in there. And I decide that I'd like to use one of these adhesive wood shapes, but I end up going to one from last year. These are a set that they had last year, and I end up using the Give Thanks on this one. And I added some of the little mums to that center, and I added one of the bigger mums to the top, and added one of the gold pumpkins to the center of that, and one of the little fake acorns from the Dollar Tree. There's a little metal leaf that's down towards near the bottom too. And I thought this came out really cute, but then I ended up also adding bows to this, and I think I completely left that footage out, but you'll see the bows at the end. But all I did is tied bows and raffia bows as well. Now I absolutely love how the shadow box came out. That orange cording that's in there actually came from Hobby Lobby, and I just cut the autumn shows us how beautiful it is to let things go. I cut that with my paper trimmer and fit it to the size of the shadow box, and I used some of that adhesive spray on the opposite side and stuck it down to the other piece of glass that's in there. And then I added some of the scatters and fillers. And then Hobby Lobby had confetti mix as well. That just looks like those large sequins almost, or mix. And I added that to the center of it as well. This ribbon that's on the outside of it is from Joann's. And I used the E6000 to hold those pieces together. And then I left them overnight with some clamps that I got from the Dollar Tree to kind of hold it together and tie a bow on the top. And I did knot it at the very top so that it would set flush on the wall just right. And I hot glued all of this that you see there. Now the E6000 that I used ended up kind of being very messy around the edges, and that's one reason why I went ahead and added that ribbon around the edges. But I do like how it came out with the ribbon like that, so even if I do another one for Christmas, I think I'll still put that ribbon around it, especially for Christmas, because it'll make it that much more look like a present almost. But I really hate that I lost the footage to that. It's nothing complicated or anything, but sometimes I just like to watch people make their pieces. I like to do project shares too, and I probably will do a little bit more so of that in the future because I've made so many of these shadow boxes. And here's a picture of it kind of hanging up on the wall. It's one of my favorite things that I actually made, and I'm definitely going to keep this up all the way through Thanksgiving. And I recorded this in a little area where I could get some good light to it and everything. I love how this turned out, but I actually have it next to my fireplace, sitting on some other little decorative boxes that I have in there. But here are the bows that I decided to use. I used the one that I used on that shadow box, and then I also pulled out a plaid one that I've had for quite some time, but I'm pretty sure that that plaid one came from Joann's. And then I added some raffia in behind that just to hang down, and then added another raffia bow on top of that other bow. And then here's my little harvest sign. Of course, I flipped that ribbon or rope around to the front to where the knots are in the front. And it's hanging a little crooked. I actually brought it out of my living room as well. And there's not a lot of good lighting source in there. But it came out super cute. Definitely going to leave it up through till Thanksgiving. And it fits in with a lot of my other decor really nice. Now for the shadow box, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and leave those in the comments down below. I hope that it's kind of self-explanatory on how I've done that, and I've done some other shadow boxes in the past. I'll link that video down below in case you're interested. If you haven't already and you'd like to follow along on this crafting journey of mine, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, and if you tap the bell next to it, it will notify you every time I upload a video. It really does help my channel out, but it also helps put you in with other like-minded crafters who make some of the same similar type crafts or DIYs that I do. A lot of times it'll throw those in your queue, and it'll introduce you to so many other talented crafters here on YouTube. My middle daughter just commented on how many people I was subscribed to, and I'm like, there's so many good crafty people out there to watch, and you can take something away from everybody on how they do things. So I enjoy watching so many of them and their uniqueness and their talents on how they do things. So I appreciate you spending some time with me. I hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday season, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care. Bye.